If you missed the first video in this series, I'm going to have it up here. But the reasoning behind me doing these videos is to give you pause. With a world constantly trying to get you to upgrade and purchase things, sometimes you need a reality check. And for myself, perhaps this is a way to balance out my affiliate links for the big push season. So then, let's do this again. Massive songs or albums recorded on the cheap. Now, first up, we have Ween. Now, there's a bunch of young people that just went, who? Trust me though, they may not have been a massive sellout artist, but they still commanded a lot of sales, including one album that was recorded for about $42. That album was Pure Guava, which, by the way, this was their major label debut album by the band, which was initially licensed for about $200,000, not a small amount of money back then. Now, this work of indie art was recorded with their basement aesthetic that was quite popular back then, and it was fully recorded on a 4-track recorder. Now, don't get me wrong, it was still mixed in $1 million plus studio for Elektra Records, but it's still a testament to the quality of music being more important than the equipment it's recorded on. Next up, we have Unknown Mortal Orchestra, and some of you went, oh yeah, I forgot about them. And the rest of you went, what kind of fresh hell is this? Well, if you don't know the name, you probably know the music. Most popular was probably Honeybee from back in 2009. Now, Ruben Nielsen kicked off the band with a single song uploaded to Bandcamp. And even though he completely forgot it even existed shortly after hitting enter to upload it, it just blew up. In fact, after getting passed around a few blogs at the time, it ended up on Pitchfork as an unknown author kind of deal, and there was this scramble to try to find the person or band responsible. Labels actually started reaching out to him asking for music, and he obliged. The problem was, at the time though, he wasn't exactly tricked out with gear. As he put it, he had a Shure SM58 with an M-Box Mini as well as a guitar and a bass. He'd just crank out a song, labels would have a bidding war, and well, that's how his band got off the ground. Even to this day, dude still just uses a couple SM58s to record. And next up we have the White Stripes. Now, Jack made the first list for his unique collections of a few super cheap guitars, but this time, their breakout album is the reason. And no, we're not talking about Elephant or even White Blood Cells. No, we're going way back to the album that got them a bit of recognition outside of their home city of Detroit. And that album was De Style. It was recorded on an 8-track analog tape deck in Jack White's living room. And this was all before White was able to bring analog back and make it cool again. Now again, this wasn't the album that blew them up and turned them into household names, but when it was picked up by an indie label, it quickly became an underground hit and even made its way up to 38 on Billboard's Independent Albums chart. Not too shabby for a living room album. And of course, this laid the groundwork for the next few albums, and well, we all know how that went, right? Now, before we hit the final example, I should point out that we here at Dark Corner Studios have done just that a couple of times. We recorded a version of Hurt with just SM58s, that's up here. And there's a whole list of instruments that got into that song. It's really cool. Check it out. And we also recorded a song with the Rodecaster Duo.
I just realized something. The mics aren't plugged in.
Now, that one is a bit outside the scope of this video, but it's still a really cool process. I'm going to have both linked down below as well as up here. And finally, we've got the boss. Now, Bruce Springsteen was known for his blue-collar rock of the 80s, and really, his star is still shining bright 40-odd years on. But he's also known as having one of the most famous homemade albums of all time with Nebraska. Now, he was initially planning on just putting these together on his TAC 4-track recorder at home and bringing them in to be redone by the whole band in studio. He recorded his guitar and vocals on 2 tracks at the same time, then he overdubbed simple keys on the other tracks and perhaps a bit more guitar and such. Turns out though, that was the album. The record label just dusted off the old tape and brought it up to snuff. And to this day, Nebraska is still considered one of his best albums. I mean, dude is called the boss for a reason, right? Now, I hope you enjoyed this reminder that you probably don't need to spend more of your money. But if you aren't convinced, there are some links below. Cheers. Thanks for watching.